so I can let you go.
Listen, I'm not here to do anything. I'm here to get a Domino's pizza, and that's why I've come out of here. I've seen you out here already.
That's fine. I'm not saying you've done anything wrong, mate, but I am asking, don't walk off from me. Don't walk off from me.
Look, I live here.
I'm asking you to stay where you are. If you decide to walk away from me,
why
I'll
do you
have
want,
no choice
why
to
do you want me
suspect
to
even
walk
further that you've committed these offences, okay?
What offences? What offences have I committed?
Don't come any closer to me.
Tell me what.
I am telling you that you are now detained for the purpose of a search. I have been advised that there's somebody in a hooded jacket exactly in this precise location where you are stood refusing your details, interfering with vehicles along this road.
No,
I've asked you a simple question.
It's definitely not me, though.
Yeah, I can't
definitely
confirm that.
Not me.
Yeah, if I believed everybody that told me that, we wouldn't be in a very good position.
Honestly, it's not me.
Yeah. But are you refusing to give me your details?
So I don't believe there's people around here attacking vehicles or anything.
My concern is as well that you live in the area and you're not willing to assist with looking after your area, so...
I don't need you to look after the area.
The encounter begins with the officer asking for his personal details and suggesting that once provided, he would be free to leave, framing the situation as though liberty depends on compliance. However, no specific offense is explained and no clear legal grounds are outlined for demanding identification. SAS even volunteers that he lives at the address in question, despite not being directly asked. And the officer acknowledges that she has not stated he committed any wrongdoing. At that point, one might expect the interaction to conclude. Instead, when he asks what offense he is suspected of, no direct answer is given, and the conversation shifts toward a detention for a search based on undefined suspicion. That suspicion then appears to change again, with the suggestion that it is unusual for him to live there yet not actively assist in monitoring the area. The exchange raises broader questions about reasonable suspicion, the limits of stop and search powers, and whether simply standing outside one's own residence creates any obligation to justify one's presence or cooperate beyond what the law requires.
So I do this.
I'm just waiting for a Domino's pizza, that's all.
Yeah, which you won't be getting because I'm concerned now that you've committed offences that you won't give me your details so I can negate you from the investigation.
I don't have... It's not committing an offence to not give you my details, but I haven't committed a crime.
Right.
So don't tell me and threaten me.
There's no threat.
I'm telling you. Listen.
I'm asking you to stay where you are because I'm going to have officers come and have a chat with you because I have no reason to suspect that you are not involved. Because you're not.
Why would I be involved when I live just there?
But I can't confirm that. If you just give me a name, I could confirm it, couldn't I, on the registration?
No, you couldn't because I haven't got a criminal record. I haven't.
You don't need a criminal record for me to run a check on where you live to ensure.
So how would you know the person that's robbing the cars whose name? How would you know their name?
That's not how I'd negate it. What I need to confirm now is your details in order to prove that you live where you say you live. And
no, you don't, because you wouldn't know that I live there.
The street at this time.
You wouldn't know that I live there.
Okay. I'm asking you the question.
Because I've never been arrested around here, and I've never been.
You don't need to be arrested to be registered to a vehicle.
I've never been searched around here.
Yeah.
Trust me. Look, I'm not here to.
Trust me. This is
I'm not here to start any shit.
She even raises the possibility that he could miss his delivery because of the delay, yet the underlying issue remains the same: his refusal to provide personal details. On its own, declining to give a name and address does not automatically create legal grounds. If identification is being required, it must be supported by a specific statutory power, and none is clearly cited during the exchange. Refusal by itself is not inherently an offense. When Sass says, "Trust me," attempting to reassure her that he is simply waiting outside his own home, the comment is dismissed. The imbalance becomes apparent. Compliance is expected from him on trust, yet his explanation is not afforded the same consideration. Rather than focusing on observable facts or clearly articulated suspicion, the interaction centers on obtaining his identity, as though that alone would retroactively justify the initial approach. At that point, the discussion shifts away from reasonable suspicion and toward a question of authority and whether the demand for details is being driven more by insistence than by lawful necessity.
Yeah. I'm not here to do any shit. I'm waiting for a Domino's pizza and I come out and I've seen you. Yeah. That was it.
There's no issue if you to give me your details. I can negate.
Look, I don't have to give you my details if I haven't committed a crime.
But I'm not saying you've committed a crime, am I? I need your details in order to say that you are not involved in this because you do live at this location. You're saying you won't give me your details, so I can't prove that you live here. So that means I have reasonable grounds to suspect that you are here for a lawful reason.
You don't need to know that I live there, what my name is.
I've explained all of this, and I don't need to go through it again because I've explained it. If you're going to refuse your details, I'm not going to stand and argue with you all day because at the end of the day, I do have powers in order to not stand here all day and have that discussion with you because I don't need to. Okay, I'm just trying to be polite right now and explain to you.
Look, I can prove to you I'm waiting for a Domino's pizza.
But I don't need to prove that you're waiting for a Domino's. I could order a Domino's here. I don't live here.
Where's the two police here?
Because I'm not going to put the dog lead because there's no need to. So I'm not going to put hands on you at the minute, but I've asked you to stay where you are. And these officers are going to come and grab those details from you.
He draws attention to the inconsistency in her position. She acknowledges that no crime has been committed, yet continues to treat his refusal to provide details as though it somehow justifies further action. That contradiction becomes the focal point. If there is no identified offense, then identity is not automatically required. Instead, she reframes his noncompliance as the very basis for reasonable grounds, effectively suggesting that suspicion arises because he will not cooperate. Legally, grounds are meant to exist prior to a demand, not emerge as a reaction to someone asserting their rights. When she remarks that she cannot stand there all day and therefore has powers to move things along, it sounds less like a reference to statute and more like frustration. The exchange shifts further when he offers to show delivery confirmation as supporting evidence for his explanation. Rather than reviewing it, she declines, suggesting parcels can be delivered anywhere. From his perspective, that refusal undermines the idea of an objective inquiry because potentially relevant information is dismissed without consideration. The moment underscores a broader tension between investigative discretion and the obligation to base decisions on clear, articulable facts rather than assumption or impatience.
But it's concerning me that you won't give me your details when I have a real legitimate and lawful reason to ask them. Okay?
Why do you? What legitimate
You've come
reason
round
do
the
you
corner,
have?
you've had your hood up. As soon you're on your phone, as soon as you've seen me pop out there, you've turned your back to me.
I'm trying to call the Domino's pizza.
So I've just had a discussion with you. You refuse your details. You're telling me you live there in that block of flats, but won't give me an address. So I can't prove that you are here for legitimate, lawful purposes. Okay? You are literally standing exactly where the report's coming.
I could prove to you that I was phoning Domino's.
I can phone a Domino's, mate. I can ring a Domino's to come here.
You got any proof of where you live, mate?
Yeah, I can. I live just right here.
So was that difficult? I don't think so.
I'm not lying. I live right here.
So, mail now saying he lives at...
So I've just come out here to check on the Domino's pizza, which should be here right now, and it still is here. No, it's a GoPro.
GoPro.
I didn't bring it out until she started talking to me.
Do you normally walk around with a GoPro in your pocket?
No, but I was coming out because I've seen the police out here and I thought I'd have interaction with them.
She insists she has a genuine lawful basis for her actions, yet when examined closely, that justification appears to rest largely on his clothing and the fact that he is carrying a GoPro. Neither attire nor possession of a camera is, in itself, a statutory trigger for suspicion. Basing reasonable grounds on appearance alone risks turning subjective impressions into the foundation for official action, shifting the focus from observable conduct to optics. The camera point raises similar concerns. He explains that he began recording after noticing police nearby, framing it as a step toward transparency rather than concealment. A recording device on its own does not establish criminal intent. In many contexts, it simply documents interactions. When everyday items or ordinary behavior are elevated into indicators of wrongdoing without clear supporting facts, the distinction between precaution and overreach becomes blurred. The broader issue highlighted in this exchange is whether suspicion is grounded in objective criteria, as required by law, or shaped by assumptions that may not meet that threshold.
And I knew I would, so that's why I'm here.
I've only just landed here. I've been round the back.
So well, I knew you was out here, and I knew my Domino's pizza was coming here, so that's why I brought it out.
I'm out tracking with a dog that I may ask you a question at this time in the morning, because that's reasonable.
Well, I was wondering why you was round here at this time in the morning when it was quiet.
Are you going to offer your name So I can confirm that you live there, leave you to eat your Dominoes, and happy days.
But how will you know that I live there?
Because you
You
will be
don't.
registered to that address, unless you are not registered to that address, which you can tell me. It's fine if you're not registered to the address, but I need
The
somewhere.
last time I phoned the police was when there was a person outside my house with a
But then I
fucking
need to
knife,
show you.
and they come to my house.
We'll have a record of it then, won't we?
Look, trust me, I'm not
Rather than
in.
standing out here
I ain't
freezing
got criminal
at 2
record or
o'clock in the
anything.
morning.
But the thing is, I've just come out here from a Domino's Pizza and I'm still hungry and waiting for it, and it's been long, over an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I come out here and then I'm
Right,
bumping
well,
to
all I'm going
her.
to say, mate, is the Domino's
I'm
being
not
turned
here
up,
with.
see the police cars.
Oh,
I'm not
it looks
delivered
weird
to
that
let
I've
us
got a
clear.
GoPro. I
Give me
really
your name.
do understand
You
that.
can understand that.
But I've got a GoPro
To help
because.
us rule you out, why don't you just give us your name and then we're done. You can have your pizza and then call it a night, can't we?
Ready. My name is.
By the time additional officers arrive, the tone of the encounter shifts again. Rather than visibly reassessing the situation from the beginning, they appear to rely largely on the account already given by their colleague. There is no clear indication of a fresh evaluation of the facts, and the original line of questioning continues. SAS repeats his explanation calmly and consistently, but the focus remains fixed on obtaining his details. Eventually, he provides them, not after a clearly articulated statutory power is outlined on camera, but seemingly to prevent further escalation. The episode highlights an uncomfortable dynamic. When multiple officers are present and the request is repeated persistently, many individuals comply simply to bring the situation to an end. In such moments, compliance may stem less from admitted wrongdoing and more from the practical desire to avoid prolonged confrontation.
It's just my protection, you
You're
know.
more than welcome That's to film,
Oh,
mate. That's not the issue.
Yeah.
Because this, genuinely,
I'm still waiting for this Domino's Pizza though.
all the information just given should have been given without 3 police cars here. Do you understand?
Is that it then? So I'm not detaining then?
Happy?
No.
Right. See ya.
By the end of the encounter, when SCS calmly asks, "Am I detained?" or "Is that it?" the officers allow him to leave without conducting a search or asking further questions. Earlier, however, he had been told he was detained for the purpose of a search that ultimately never took place. The only concrete result of the detention was the collection of his personal details. That contrast raises an important procedural question. If a stop-and-search power is invoked, it should be exercised for its stated purpose, not used indirectly to obtain identification. When detention appears to function primarily as leverage for personal information, it risks undermining the intended safeguards of the power itself. What makes the situation striking is not dramatic confrontation, but how routine it appears. An individual outside his own home, officers speaking with confidence, backup arriving, and a gradual narrowing of options until compliance feels like the simplest way to end the interaction. There is no explosive misconduct shown on camera, just steady pressure that achieves a specific outcome. In the end, no search is carried out, no offense is identified, and no further action is taken. The authority announced at the beginning fades quietly once the objective is met, prompting broader reflection on how such powers are applied and whether their use aligns with their original purpose. If you found this breakdown helpful, consider liking the video, sharing it, and subscribing to support continued analysis and discussion around public accountability.